another interview. Peter Harrison is Chief Technical Officer and co-founder of Colovore, a leading data center company. Peter has built the core infrastructure of several Silicon Valley's Internet titans and is the CCIE certified among many technical accomplishments. Most recently, Harrison worked at Google, where he helped manage global data center demand and capacity planning. Peter also worked on Google's fiber FTTH program and its initial data center infrastructure rollout and YouTube server development and maintenance. Prior to Google, Harrison was an operations director at eBay, where he helped build shopping.com search engine grid infrastructure. Peter also served as a network manager at Netflix, where he helped launch Netflix streaming internet video technology. As usual, my co-host, Chris, will be conducting the interview. So take it away, Chris.
Thanks, Denise. And with much delight, I look forward to dialoguing with you this evening, Peter. Welcome to our conversation.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Great. First, we all would like to let the audience know a little about the person. As Denise has just shared, you're a pioneer genius as far as I'm concerned. If folks really appreciate what Silicon Valley is. But we'd like to take you back to your roots and to try to understand, whether Jamaican like yourself, what was your root?
Yeah, sure. I was born in Jamaica. My father worked in government, and my mother trained as a nurse and eventually left the profession and started working in marketing for Colgate near 3 Miles. And then she retired from the profession when I was born, and she continued to do a number of other things on the side to make ends meet after that. I actually wanted to be a doctor when I was smaller. So in high school, I volunteered to give out library books at the UWI hospital to see what it would be like to be one. And I realized that I just didn't have the personal touch to be a doctor. And I around the same time, they were starting to build a swimming pool at my school. And I spent my lunchtime every day watching the construction workers and interactions with architects and engineers. And I saw the dynamic around that. And I was really, really fascinated. And I decided that I'd become an engineer. I liked physics in school, and electricity for me was one of the easiest subjects. And I decided to become an electrical engineer. I went to UE. I studied at UE as an engineer. I returned to UE and did some management courses. And my first job was with the government in a jack-of-all-trades engineering job at Fiscal Services near UTEC. And that included both electrical and computer roles. And I've been a hybrid engineer ever since.
Wow, that's really a rich background. So your mom was a spark to it, and that's from your keen observation of other folks and seeing architecture and things. You were able to synthesize all of those elements into a really dynamic career. So you started in Jamaica, but here you are, one of the pioneers doing data center designs and architecture in Silicon Valley. Tell us, how did you get from Jamaica to Silicon Valley?
Well, it's a very long path, but I was working in Jamaica. I was a young father, and I wanted to earn some more income for my family. And it just wasn't working out in Jamaica at the time. And this was around 1999. And so what I was doing was that I started sending out my resume out on the internet to try and see what I could find. And I received an email from United Airlines. It was a very strange time. It was 1999. And it was around the time of Y2K. And there was a concern at the time that on New Year's Eve, 1999, that many old computers that used only the last two digits of the year to create the date would fail when those last two digits would change from 99 to 00 for 2000. And so billions of dollars were being spent in the U.S. to change out old equipment. And there were a few people who knew anything about this old stuff. And United Airlines at the time didn't care that the last time I had touched that brand of computer was 10 years ago. And I came to the U.S. So my first concern or passion was really just keeping my job. The knowledge of obsolete technology is not really a good career strategy in a rapidly evolving field. And so I started taking on as many courses as possible to get my skills up to speed. My company was laying off people every 3 months with the dot-com implosion at the time. And I had to make sure that I was much better than everyone else, and I didn't lose my H-1 visa residency if I lost my job. And so people started getting laid off on a regular basis, and it reached a point where they had to make one final layoff. And the people who were laid off, I fortunately was saved. And the last batch, which were really the best of the group, all went to work for this young company at the time, which nobody really knew much about, but it was called Netflix. And so when Netflix was ready to start launching their video on demand product, these guys came back to me and said, Peter, we know you used to handle the network when we were doing the .com stuff. Would you be interested in coming back? And I said, man, the moment I get my green card, I'm there. And so I waited, and they were patient. And I got through, and my team designed a network that launched Netflix's video on demand in the United States.
Incredible.
Yes, I look back at it all the time and I say, whoa, it really is quite remarkable. I'm very grateful that those guys gave me the chance.
So you participated in one of the first wave of digital disruption, because places like Blockbusters got put out of business because of Netflix, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's really neat. So one of the things that you've learned, and I've heard, is that you have to anticipate. You have to have a sense of anticipation for the next thing that's going to happen. And your entrepreneurial skills certainly play into that. What advice would you give to folks who are considering entering into this entrepreneurial space? What some of the attributes they need to consider, given your life story?
I have some general advice that I would give. I would really say that you need to try again, and you need to ask for what you want. I tell that to my children all the time. Many times there are people who want to launch a business and they want to try and hold on to the idea to themselves. They don't want to reveal it. They try to create these non-disclosure agreements that prevent people from discussing it. And I found that it immediately adds a level of distrust. And by the time you come to signing, it just adds delays to the whole process. And in California, those agreements are generally not enforceable. And I just had the attitude that if people steal the idea, will they have the drive and the industry knowledge that you have to be a credible competitor? And I was willing to take that risk. And so I made sure that I tried again, and I tried as much as possible to talk to people who were interested. I'll give you an example. We were trying to push this idea for a data center, and we were looking for a huge amount of money. We were looking for $10 million US. And we were going to venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, and a venture capitalist will talk to you no matter how stupid the idea is, because they want to be on the next big thing. And so we told them what we wanted to do. And many of them said, well, we know that data centers eventually fill up. We know that there's a very solid, consistent rate of return. But guys, we're looking for the next Facebook. We want to have 1,000% profit minimum. so that we can justify all the money that we put in these other smaller businesses. And you guys, you don't have that time frame. You're talking about turning around a business in 3 to 4 years. We want a turnaround in 6 months. And the amount of money that you're looking for is gigantic. And one day, we were walking out of a venture capitalist's office, and he said to us, you guys are onto a good thing. It's a good long-term investment. If you guys make it, let me know. I'll put in $50,000. And so we turned around to him and said, do you have any friends? And the thing that ran through my mind was that $50,000 times 200 is 10 million. And so we started talking to as many people as we could. And if they weren't interested, we said, who else do you know? Who else can you talk to? And if you're going through that process, you don't have time to have these contracts and signing ups and that sort of thing. So always ask for what you want. Try again. Find somebody who may be interested in what you want to do. And there are many people who may think that you may want to try and create a patent for your idea. Frankly, by the time you get approved, it may be too late because the technology that you're trying to protect is obsolete. So just give it all you've got. Just give it all you've got. That's my advice to them.
Boy, that's priceless advice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Peter. And I think, folks, trust is a matter. Thinking out of the box is certainly very important, and go for it. And the speed of trust is how businesses are made, especially within the Silicon Valley culture. And we cannot let paperwork impede that kind of progress. So thank you so much for sharing those opinions. But you've gone beyond that, and I want to thank you first for creating this foundation named Palisadoes that provide the resources for the next generation of entrepreneurs. What motivated you to take this approach in giving back?
In my opinion, the development of a nation requires an effort at all levels, and traditionally the area of education is something that has been interesting to me. And non-governmental organizations and non-profits have been focusing primarily on primary and secondary schools, in other words, K through 12. But I have always felt that there needs to be an option for university students who are poised to make an immediate impact on an economy. It's an area that has been overlooked. Yes, it's true that people that reach university in Jamaica, they're a privileged group, but they too need our attention as well. And we have started with software development, and for a number of reasons. There's a huge scope for international cooperation. There are very few hindrances from import and export controls. We don't have to deal with customs. And it's an area in which there's a very high demand. And a donor making a contribution to a university student will see results in 2 to 3 years versus quarter of a lifetime if they decide to invest in kindergarten. And so our universities create students with skills, but because of the size of the island, there are very few large-scale projects to stretch them. And the Palisadoes Foundation is trying to create those projects built by Jamaicans that have an impact on the island. So it comes down to not so much a passion. It comes down more to an irritation. Why does Jamaica have to be a consumer of technology? Why do foreign experts always have to have the edge? It's because of exposure. Expose our youth to participate in international software challenges while they're still in school, and then the respect will come. The Palisadoes Foundation provides a Calico Challenge. It's a work-study program for Jamaican university students in Jamaica to contribute to free software projects with a Jamaican flavor. One project that is really interesting in 2017 is a collaboration between UTEC and UWI students to create a mobile app for Jamaican Juta taxis. And we've been working on this for months. And we've got all the contributions are from volunteer students and from a couple of people in the U.S. And we hope to have something launched by the end of the summer. And these are the types of projects that we're referring to create.
So if I get this well, it's like an Uber type of app that would allow taxi services to collaborate and engage with their clients?
With some additional features that we've been thinking about. If you hail a taxi, what's the reputation of the taxi? There are a number of incidents that come up from time to time about assaults on taxis. Wouldn't it be good for you to be able to have a security feature that could be added to it? How do you know where your favorite taxi driver is? Those sorts of things. The students are really brainstorming ideas and trying to figure out how to create something that would really inspire not only students but Jamaica on the whole. And it's very, very interesting to me. And I've been spending a lot of time holding little workshops with them, helping them to write some of the software code, providing them with guidance. We've been working on the Palisadoes projects for the last 18 months, and just with the perseverance we've got to this phase, I'm very, very proud of the students. It's wonderful what they've managed to achieve.
Wow. When I've been on the website, it seemed like there's a network of other folks who may be collaborating and sponsoring with you. Is there a network of other Jamaicans that are behind this? Could you just describe the composition of the supporters and the sponsors of this?
Sure. We have the support of the Jamaican Diaspora Technology Task Force, who have encouraged us to continue. We give them updates from time to time. The Palisadoes Foundation's board is comprised of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and some Fortune 500 technology executives who provide us with guidance. We are actively looking for Jamaicans in companies across the globe to promote us in their technology organizations. And that's actually much easier than you think. Many companies have internal websites that their employees can use to make donations to worthy causes. And in many cases, these companies will match the donations of their employees. We have just been approved to be visible in the donation portals of a number of Fortune 500 companies, including Google, Apple, Netflix. If your company has a matching donation scheme, we are probably visible. Donate to a great cause. You can also donate to the Palisadoes Foundation on our website at palisadoes.org.
So if I get this well, it's like when folks can set up Palisadoes Foundation, like they would go to Amazon and it will query them to say, gee, do they want to participate if their company should have such a donation program, and it could get them matched by a Silicon Valley company. Did I get that right?
That's correct. I just got confirmation just today from somebody at Google that logged into their Google corporate account from their Google computer. They went to the donation page of their internal website at Google, and they found the Palisadoes Foundation, and they found the Calico Challenge for 2017. And that was a very good achievement for us. We were wondering about it, and it really helps when you have volunteers that work with you to get some of these things done. And I'm glad that the volunteer team that we have managed to achieve this. This is another thing. We always talk about the students, we talk about the people on foundation boards, etc., but we do have a small team of volunteers that have helped us to get to this stage, and I'm very proud of them as well.
Amen. This is great. The neat thing about you bring a can-do culture from Silicon Valley that I have zero tolerance for bureaucracy, and it seemed for 18 months to be able to have a project like you've described at that level of development is just astounding. So congratulations, sir, on that kind of possibility. As you've described this, it seemed like the projects are focused on actually creating infrastructure and ecosystem for university types to be able to have the facility to do great things. I want you to put on your crystal ball and complete the sentence. In 5 years, given what you've done so far, where would you see this foundation going?
I think the Palisadoes Foundation will be instrumental in changing the way Jamaican software companies operate. We will stop seeing companies working on one-time projects. So, for example, somebody wants to create a one-time thing like a website or some software to help with customers. We're going to start seeing companies starting to create services that people around the world will want to pay for on a monthly basis. So therefore, the revenue will come in on a regular basis. And this is going to require teams of engineers who know how to work collaboratively across borders, like we're showing the students with the Calico Challenge. Jamaica has to realize that there are, and the world actually has to realize that ever since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century, technology has been advancing more and more rapidly. Even now, I just recently read where Adidas is creating a factory in Germany that's going to make 500,000 sneakers a year, made entirely by robots, with a factory staff of 10% of what it was before. We have Amazon testing out stores without cashiers, and voice recognition software is now getting so good that call centers may be under threat. The only way that we're going to be able to compete in the long term is to start creating software rather than you just being a complete consumer. Every hour that we spend playing games, every hour that we spend watching videos, though it's relaxing and it can be inspiring, it's an hour taken away from creation. And we're going to have to make sure that we are creating software to be where we need to be. And many times, people often talk about Jamaica being a country where we create very good small samples of things. But when somebody asks for a container load, we cannot deliver. But with software,
without scalability.
There's no scalability. But nowadays, with software, where you can purchase computer time by the minute, that limitation is no longer there. So why not jump to something like this? It is a very interesting area. It is something that, unfortunately, it doesn't provide inspiration to many people, because you're talking about something that doesn't seem to have an immediate impact. And one of the things that we've been trying to do over the last few months is trying to find a project that would inspire people, and this taxi app is something that I'm very interested in.
This is wonderful. There's one article that I keep in my office, and it's written by Andreessen, one of the Silicon Valley's pioneering angels. He said, when software is going to eat the world.
Yes.
Because it's not a hardware is now a commodity, and it's software is the value-added project. So you leading us in that kind of direction, if folks really realize how prophetic that is. And with machine learning coming along, I think we'd be very wise to follow this lead. So thank you so much for doing this for us, sir.
You're welcome.
So we'd like to spread the word here and so speak to the diaspora as to how you think they can support this project, and what are some of the needs that you have that you think the general person can get excited and engaged with?
There are many ways in which the diaspora can help us. We need help promoting the foundation inside companies with Jamaican employees so that they can donate to us through their company portals. We need social media volunteers to help us with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram postings. We have a regular monthly newsletter that needs to be sent out, and we need people to help us with that. We need mentors for students to provide guidance in their programming. If you know a little bit of programming, let us know. And we need professional programmers who are interested in donating time to work on our projects. And quite often, the amount of time that we're talking about in terms of working with a student or an individual student is no more than maybe 2 hours a week. Because the students are already aware of the software that they need to be working on. So you don't have to be teaching them from first principles. We need persons to help us with fundraising, as I mentioned. We need Jamaicans on the ground in Jamaica to help rally the students as well. That's an interesting area. And of course, if you have the ability to donate to what we're trying to do, please do it. We want to make these students have this work-study program over the summer. We want them to be engaged full-time. We want them to work on these things such that we can create meaningful software that people can associate with, not just as a Jamaican product, but something that would be viewed with pride, no matter which country it came from.
That's wonderful. Thank you for giving us such a breadth of what the needs are and how we can participate. And if somebody, I guess there's a virtual collaboration medium that we're using to do this, something like Skype or the like that the team has to get people plugged in if they'd like to do that virtually.
Yes, we have a weekly meeting with the students on Saturdays at 5 p.m. Jamaica time. If you want to be involved in it or want to take a larger role in what we're doing at Palisadoes, visit the website at www.palisadoes.org. There's a contact us page. Send us an email and about what you'd like to participate in, and we'll rope you in. No problem.
That's wonderful. So 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, there's a online meeting that you can participate in, and you gladly welcome folks to do that.
That's correct.
And could you again just share with us the website and the places that they can go, the different contact information that they can go to get plugged into this network?
Sure. There's the website is www.palisadoes.org, and if you visit the website, you will see a contact us or an about page, and then under there, just click on contact, and you'll be able to see what we're doing. The Calico program, there's a link on the site for that as well, and there's also a link that will take you directly to donate to the cause. Students living in Jamaica who are interested in participating in this should visit the site and click on the Calico link as well. And we have a very extensive list of questions and answers that anybody can read and understand. The applications for students opens in February of this year, and we're really looking forward to have a good set of students this year. And we're also hoping to get corporate sponsorships. Last year, the JPS Foundation of the Jamaica Public Service was a significant contributor to the Calico project of 2016. And we succeeded in meeting all the very rigorous requirements for the JPS Foundation, and not just the requirements for application, but also the requirements for verification. The students made presentations to the JPS engineering staff about the projects that they worked on, and it was very well received.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for taking this initiative, for spearheading it, and to put us on a path of being able to be competitive in the 21st century. As we close, do you have any parting words of wisdom to our audience?
Yes. I remember listening to a radio interview with Tammy Wynette, the country singer, talking about her life. She was a star in Jamaica, as her music was played all the time on the radio on Sundays, because reggae was never heard on that day when there was not so many radio stations as there are now. And I found it very strange that she was on the radio, and as in Jamaica, I was listening to what she had to say, and they asked her what made her successful. And she said that her friend Loretta Lynn gave her the following advice: that you have to be first, best, or different. And that was inspirational to me for quite some time. But now it's even more simple. It's, of course, you can't become if you only say what you could have done.
Well, those are such words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Peter, for spending some time with us. and we look forward to this great supporting this project and for others to come aboard and for this to be the blooming of Jamaican infrastructure for the 21st century in technology space.
Thank you very much for having me.
And to learn more about Chris Daly, visit digitaltogrow.com. To learn more about Jamaican Diaspora, visit JamaicanDiaspora.com. And for Peter Harrison's website, I'll repeat it again. It's Palisadoes.org. And if you want to, there's a donate button, so you go to Palisade.org/donate. Thank you, Peter. We enjoyed spending some time with you.
Thank you very much for having me.